Fuck, man. Am I really just gonna sit here and make fun of metal movies for 2 years in a row? Nah, fuck that. I just passed 666 subscribers. So it's time for the top 10 best metal movies. Actually, fuck that. This list goes all the way up to 11. I do have one rule for this list: no documentaries or concert footage. It's too obvious, has to be 100% fiction. Although if you're looking for some good ones, I might recommend Anvil, the story of Anvil, and the Decline of Western Civilization trilogy, particularly the second one. So let's get right into the list. Crank and Crank 2 High Voltage. Okay, maybe I'm cheating by putting two movies in the same slot after already making this a top 11. But neither of the Crank movies really stand on their own. You gotta watch both. They're like Van Halen and David Lee Roth. And now for a very accurate recreation of how Crank got pitched. Alright, kid, pitch your movie. Alright, you guys know that Keanu Reeves movie Speed, where the bus blows up if it goes too slow? Yeah, I know it. Okay, it's that. Except the bus is Jason Statham. I'm sorry? It's Jason Statham, and if he goes too slow, his heart blows up. That sounds fucking awesome. You got a title for it? I don't know, I figured we'd call it something similar to Speed, like, Crank. Not what I meant, but we'll go with it. And then he runs around and blows shit up for 2 movies. That's the movie. It's fucking awesome.
Crank the music.
So watch out for my mind.
Crank kick!
Walking out on me today.
In 1982, we got a film called Class of 1984 about a gang of punk school kids who declare war on a teacher and die violently. While it's very punk rock, it's missing that last jolt to jump it into pure insanity. That jolt was called Trauma. Class of Nukem High is to Class of 84 what Piranha was to Jaws. Part parody, part homage, pure insanity. The film follows a gang of punks called the Cretans, selling and smoking weed that's been mutated by the local power plant, causing anyone who smokes it to become this insane, disturbed person, and eventually led to a giant monster in the school's basement. This leaves nerdy good boy Warren to kill the monster, defeat the Cretans, and save the girl. All of Troma's movies are dripping with the dark insanity of heavy metal, even down to the renowned Lemmy showing up in a few. But Nukem High stands out as their loudest and certainly the most metal.
Remember those guys? They were the Honor Society. Now look at them.
It's your one-way ticket to midnight. We call it. Come on, I'm feeling your sweat. And we call it. Desperation on a real lane. We call it. Heavy metal noise. You guys want to see a comedy starring Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and Steve Buscemi? Okay, what if I told you it was from back when those guys were still funny? Airheads is what I'd call a bit of a hidden gem. It's nothing brilliant, but it's a fun little movie about a metal band hijacking a radio station to play their song. But when the tape breaks, they have to wait for their lead singer's ex-girlfriend to show up with the only copy, and in the meantime, play whatever they want. It's charming, to say the least. Plus, the film's got a killer soundtrack and a cameo from the man himself, Lemmy. And, I'm not kidding, Beavis and Butthead.
Come on, Butthead, give me the phone.
Am I speaking English? What'd I just say, dipshit?
Come on, Butthead, no way. Shut up, Beavis.
Weirdly, Brendan Fraser insists the song they play is about his girlfriend, but I've listened to this song and it's about a boy named Johnny and how he's an absolute fuck-up. Yeah, no wonder your girlfriend broke up with you. Either way, Airheads is a fun little movie that I'd recommend metalheads check out.
You've sold out the forum. You're standing in front of 20,000 screaming fans. What are you gonna say to them?
I'm gonna say,
Rock and roll!
They can't stop us, let them try. For heavy metal we would die. They can't stop us, let them try. For heavy metal we will die.
from Murder Party writer-director Jeremy Saulnier, it's Green Room, which, yes, I know is about a punk band, but what is punk but metal's mangy younger brother? They're both loud and noisy, they're both anti-authoritarian, and the early 2000s ruined both of them. The film follows punk rock group The Ain't Rights, who accidentally get booked at a skinhead bar, an opportunity they use to thoroughly piss off every white supremacist in the place, only to then find they're holding another band hostage, and now they have to escape a bar full of violent Nazis. And Jesus, this movie is violent. Characters just abruptly die. There's no build-up to it or anything. They'll just be talking and dead, which makes it really unpredictable. And if there's one thing more metal than bloody killings, it's killing Nazis. Whether you're into punk, metal, or just violent films, I highly recommend Green Room.
Get him down! Get him down!
Shouldn't have locked the door.
Hellraiser. What's more metal than invoking demons to resurrect you through multiple murders, leaving you a bloody mess of bones just so you can cuck your loser brother? Invoking demons who dress like goddamn Judas Priest, that's what! Of all the horror films that don't directly involve metal in their plot, Hellraiser is easily the most metal. Nothing even comes close. It does lose some points for not actually featuring any metal music, though they did get Motorhead in to write a song for one of the sequels, likely after they realized metalheads were their core audience. But the sequels all kinda suck, so just stick with this gloriously disturbed movie.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
The 80s did a good job combining their flashy, sugary showmanship and dark, moody aggression. The decade that gave us hair metal and Freddy Krueger on MTV. It was the perfect marriage of culture and counterculture. And the 90s was the messy divorce of those two ideas. There were two distinct 90s. The colorful, Poochie-style Backstreet Boys 90s, and the dark, depressing Nirvana 90s.
Guess which half The Crow falls into?
You couldn't get any more goth than this if you tried. A metal frontman and his girlfriend get gunned down by a crime syndicate on Halloween, and 1 year later the dead man returns to take his vengeance as The Crow, a superhero so goth he's resurrected with corpse paint on. Although, he is a corpse, so maybe it's not paint. And who should play this undead badass but Bruce Lee's flesh and blood, Brandon Lee, who went so dark for this movie, he died.
Yeah, a prop gun went off too close to Brandon Lee's face, and he died at the very young age of 28, right when his career was starting to take off. That kind of derailed this fun, goofy video. Quick, let's move on to the next movie.
Lay down your soul to the gods, rock and roll. Metal tenfold through the deadly black hole. Riding hell stallions, bareback and free. Taking our chances with raw energy.
Deathgasm. I'm actually going to talk about it this time. Deathgasm is a fairly predictable movie, especially if you're familiar with the short-lived nerds using black magic to kill bullies subgenre of the early 80s. Though if any subgenre deserved a comeback, yeah, that was kinda it. I mean, you kinda know exactly where every character's story arc's going the second they're introduced, but that's not really what the movie's about. The movie's about a heavy metal band resurrecting the dead and nearly bringing about the apocalypse. And more importantly, it's about that metal aesthetic. The great high-energy stylization makes me want to compare this to, like, Metalocalypse meets Scott Pilgrim. Plus, it's genuinely funny and ridiculously violent.
Whoa.
Yeah! Metal! It comes from hell!
Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. As a band, Tenacious D can be a bit of a mixed bag, but they do know what metal is. And let me tell you, a film that ends with a rock-off with Satan is metal. Oh, hold on, let me rephrase that. A rock-off with Satan, played by Dave Grohl, easily one of the most prolific men in all of rock. But if Grohl's not enough to scratch your metal cameo itch, then how about goddamn Ronnie James Dio? That man is metal. I'm pretty sure you could peel his skin back Terminator style and find actual metal. Nah, you know what? You'd have to pull back metal to find Ronnie James Dio underneath. The film as a whole is a goofy little comedy. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it absolutely rocks.
You know, J-pop's become kind of popular lately. You know what I think? Fuck J-pop.
Man, I thought American boy bands were phony and manufactured, but these fucking kids are literally groomed to be pop stars. Aren't there, like, laws against this type of shit?
No, if you want to listen to Japanese music in this house, you listen to Guitar Wolf.
Guitar Wolf is a Japanese hard rock trio who in 1999 released a film titled Wild Zero, full of drug dealers, zombies, aliens, ninjas, and shredding guitar solos. The guitarist's guitar turns into a sword. That shouldn't be possible with the guitar strings in the way. Well, fuck you, Guitar Wolf doesn't need strings to rock. You wanna know how unmamby-pamby J-pop this film is? The DVD has a drinking game as a bonus feature. You have no idea how many movies I've seen that need an on-screen guide to help me get drunk, and you know what? Wild Zeros isn't one of those movies. This film is super entertaining in its own right, and it is also metal as fuck.
いつまでもガキみたいなこと言ってんの。ロケンロールじゃ終わっちまったんだよ、おい。ビジネス分かったかい？分かった、そう来たねって先に取ってきてな。このクソ野郎。ロッケンローラーワンちゃいねえ。ロッケンローラー踏みつられた。
Metal, it's what I crave. The louder the better. Tuning my brain. Metal, it's such a pity. Bringing it up, I'm feeling mighty.
The whole Mad Max franchise has been pretty metal, what with the car crashes, the dystopian future, and the leather bondage gear. But Fury Road ramped it up even further. And I don't mean because of the higher production value or the faster pace. I got 2 words for you. Flamethrower guitar.
Flamethrower is one word, right? Yeah, flamethrower guitar.
If I made a list of the most metal things in existence, flamethrower guitar would come in 3rd, right behind metal music and Ronnie James Dio. And since Ronnie has passed on from this dimension, that makes flamethrower guitar second to only metal music itself.
Honorable mentions: Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Wayne's World. I couldn't pick which one to go on the list. On the one hand, Bill and Ted is the better movie, but on the other hand, Wayne's World did have that great Alice Cooper cameo. It's probably the more metal of the two. But then again, Bill and Ted saved the world with rock and roll, so we'll call it a draw. Black Sabbath and Black Sunday. Black Sabbath gets a lot of credit because it has a band named after it, but honestly, Black Sunday is the much more metal of the two, and also just a better movie. Whichever way you go though, you'll either find Satan worshippers or vampires and serial killers, so props both ways. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Yeah, again, punk, not metal, but I gotta give credit to any movie where they kill a J-pop band with the power of rock. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Blood, murder, mayhem, parties, Andrew WK. Heavy metal. I'm only putting this here so I don't get a bunch of angry comments. The soundtrack's good, but it's really not that interesting unless you're on drugs. And now, on to the number 1 most metal movie of all time. It's Spinal Tap.
You knew it was Spinal Tap. I'm wearing the shirt. This list is a top 11 in reference to This Is Spinal Tap. Yeah, of course they're the number 1 pick. This Is Spinal Tap isn't just the greatest metal movie, it's one of the best movies ever made. It's a hilarious and honestly pretty subtle comedy. You could show this to someone and they'd never know it wasn't real. But there's some deeper jokes that I feel not enough people mention. Like, there's plenty of moments that parody other bands, like when Nigel attempts to play his guitar with a violin, a reference to Jimmy Page playing his guitar with a bow. And while you could totally read these as cheeky little jokes, I think it could be looked at as Spinal Tap just completely ripping off other popular acts. I mean, it's totally in character to them. Whichever way you look at it, This Is Spinal Tap is a hilarious film and the all-time greatest metal movie.
This is a top to what we use on stage, but it's very, very special because if you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the
and
amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's 1 louder, isn't it?
What do you think? Do you like these movies? Have you seen these movies? What movies do you think are the most metal? Let me know and I'll see you next time for more Metal-ween.